Welcome to the Performing Arts Medicine Symposium Abstract Tutorial. This tutorial will focus on the Pama Workshop Presentation Abstract. The Workshop Presentation Abstract is designed for projects that focus on teaching or informing the audience of a problem or concept related to an artistic discipline in an interactive manner. The presenter should strive toward making 50% of the presentation interactive in nature. Before going further, if your presentation is educational in nature, such as a state-of-the-art or science, an evidence review, clinical update, case study, or case series, but is not suitable to an interactive format, please go to the Educational Abstract tutorial and the Educational Abstract form. Also, if the focus of your presentation is primarily hypothesis-driven and involves data collection and intervention and analysis of data based on your hypothesis, please go to the Research Abstract tutorial and the Research Abstract form. At this time, we will go to the Workshop Presentation Abstract. Please note that there are two items listed here. The first is a worksheet, which may be downloaded and worked from prior to clicking on this second link, which is the submission portal for the workshop abstract. We will be going through the submission portal in this video and ask that you use the worksheet to guide your preparation before submission. When you first click on the submission link, you will need to provide the primary author's contact information. If the primary author is a student, please be sure to include their institution information using this hidden box. If available, upload the primary author's CV at this point. This is required even if the primary author is a student. This will not affect our decision to accept your presentation, but is something that is required of accepted presentations and would be one less thing to do or worry about later if your abstract is accepted. On the next page, the same information is required for any co-authors. This is optional, as you may be submitting an abstract without any co-authors. Having this information ready before submission, however, will expedite the process. You may add or remove co-authors after acceptance as necessary. The next page is the abstract submission form. Please verify that you have selected the correct format at the top of the page. Please start by selecting the appropriate artistic category that pertains to your presentation. You may select all that applies as necessary. However, you may also type in other artistic category and select the category that is most applicable to your presentation. You may check all that apply as necessary, and this information is only used for sorting purposes. If none of the categories fit your presentation, please select Type Other Artistic Category here and place your artistic category in the box. The next item is the presentation format. The workshop has been pre-selected for you. Despite this selection, please then also indicate whether you would be willing to consider a change in your submission format. Although you may feel strongly that you do not want to do an oral presentation, there are times that the Abstract Review Committee may feel that your work is extremely valuable, but more suitable to a different presentation format. This may increase the likelihood for acceptance as there are limited slots for each format. If you are willing to be flexible about your presentation format, please select yes. If you only want to be considered for the format you selected, please select no. It should be noted that this year we are featuring a poster presentation competition. All presentations accepted for poster format will automatically be entered into the poster competition. There will be monetary awards given for first, second, and third place winners announced during the business meeting at the symposium. Lastly, for this upper section, it is important that you provide information about the ethical or institutional review board approval status for your project. The abstract will not be reviewed if this item is not completed. You must indicate whether an ethical or institutional review board approval has been granted, is in progress, or not needed. While workshops are often exempt, this approval is required before conducting hypothesis-driven research and for many educational presentations as well. If you have questions regarding the need for approval, we urge you to check immediately with the Ethical or Institutional Review Board at your institution. They will be more than happy to advise you if review and approval is needed for your project. It is unethical to conduct, publish, or present research studies without this review. Please note, in the United States, even projects that are exempt from this process must still be reviewed to confirm exemption, and a letter still provided to validate that exemption. While you may believe your project is eligible for exempt status, the review board at your institution may disagree and ask that you submit for expedited or full review. Only the board can verify the appropriate decision, and only the approval letter indicates the project has appropriately undergone this process. In addition to your selection, you may provide the approval or exempt letter by uploading it here. Though it is not required, you may be asked to be providing this information during the review process if the research committee requests this information. The following sections on this page are fields for the abstract submission. These sections, including their instructions, each correspond to the worksheet that is provided on the main page. Please note that the combined word count for all of these sections, excluding the title, must not exceed 350 words. You may note the word count while preparing your abstract on the worksheet. It is extremely important that you do not include any of your biographical information in any of the following sections. Your abstract should be blinded, meaning there should be no identifiable information in your submission. This includes items such as your name, your university, the name of the organization for whom you work, and the name of the city in which the study was performed. At times, this is surprisingly difficult to do. A hypothetical example would be, I am Ann Smith and a professor of the University of Chicago Voice Department, and I am going to describe my vocal exercise techniques which are based on Alexander technique, which results in less vocal strain. The participants will engage in these exercises. It is more appropriate to state this information as follows. Alexander technique is widely used throughout the vocal community. This workshop will focus on nuances of this technique and how it has improved vocal outcomes in students at a university voice program. The first required field is the title of your presentation. This title should tell the audience what your study is about and your conclusions. This title can be catchy and provocative, but should truly reflect your findings and not exaggerate your findings in order to be attention-grabbing. For example, a workshop on aging singers could have the following titles. A factual title such as The Effect of Aging and Medical Conditions on the Singing Voice, or a catchy but less informative title such as The Glamour and Grit of Singing Seniors, Maintaining and Restoring Vocal Success in Aging Singers. An obviously exaggerated and slightly misleading title such as All Aging Singers' Voices Can Be Restored to Peak Performance should be avoided. The next item is the rationale for your presentation. This paragraph should synthesize information on the importance of your topic and include historical information, literature, or other information that makes your project compelling. It should explain why this topic is important. Next is the content of the presentation. This paragraph will be a description of the content of the workshop. It should include topics you will cover for the workshop and describe how they will be presented. For example, explaining diagnostic and treatment approaches to each topic and management strategies. You must then state the educational objectives of this workshop. These are learning goals that your audience should be able to demonstrate or understand upon the completion of your workshop. You must have a minimum of 3 objectives listed by bullets that complete the sentence below and utilizes action verbs such as demonstrate, describe, perform, or understand. For example, this sentence could be completed as followed. At the end of the workshop, participants will be able to teach the importance of visualizing the vocal folds to guide diagnoses, evaluate poor breath support and compensatory neck muscle tension and correct it with simple exercises, differentiate between vocal tremor, uncontrolled vibrato, and singing voice dystonia by administering simple vocal tasks, etc. The next item is to state the approach of the presentation. This paragraph is extremely important as it describes how you plan to make the workshop interactive for the audience. You should strive for 50% of your workshop to be interactive in nature. This section should be similar to a teaching plan that will meet the educational objectives in the previous section. For example, this section could be completed in the following manner. The above objectives will be met by teaching hands-on techniques to evaluate maladaptive neck muscle tension, poor breathing techniques, and to re-engage breath. Auditory training to differentiate vocal tremor, uncontrolled vibrato, and singing voice dystonia by teaching simple vocal tasks to elicit them. Number 3, video and live lecture demonstrations of the educational objectives. Lastly, you will state the clinical significance of your workshop. This section sums up the clinical and practical implications of the educational materials that are provided to the audience. As previously mentioned, Pama will not accept any abstract that contains or may be interpreted as an attempt to promote or sell any specific company, product, or service. We require that all submissions certify that all presenters will abide by this statement. Presentations will be vetted for this content, and an acceptance may be revoked if the presenters do not comply. This is a scientific symposium, and presentations are to be related to the dissemination of scientific knowledge. Upon submission, you will be redirected to another page to the Conflict of Interest Reporting Form. This Conflict of Interest Reporting Form allows Pama to submit our content to professional organizations in order to apply for continuing education credits. On this page, you and all your co-authors will be required to disclose any conflicts of interest. Each author or presenter must complete their own COI form. You must indicate whether or not you will be able to provide an unbiased presentation, have any conflicts, agree to disclose unlabeled or unapproved drugs or products in your presentation, and to report your NPI number. You will provide an electronic date and signature at the bottom of the form and click Submit for the final submission of this entry. If you have any further questions about submitting an abstract or need extra guidance on making the appropriate selections, please contact our research committee chair at artsmedresearch@gmail.com. Thank you.